Hi everyone. Well, as promised, here's my last video. Well, let me rephrase that. Maybe not my last video, but it's my last teaching video. How's that? And I'll still be popping in once in a while to see what you're doing, and you can see what I'm doing, and we'll keep in touch. But anyway, well, let's go ahead and get started with this one. And unfortunately, I had a bad accident with this one, which seems to be just a normal thing for me anymore, having a bad accident. So anyway, let's go see what I've got going. Now this painting is started off with using a black gesso canvas, and it's a canvas panel. It's a 12 by 16, so it's not a real large one. And so I'm not working with real large brushes or anything, just a smaller size. And I'm just spreading this black gesso all over the canvas to start with. Well, not all over. I'm going to leave a little bit of the waterfall showing. I just want a little bit of lightness there in the center to indicate that there's light there and a waterfall. So cover everything on the outer edges and leave the rest of it. And then when you've completed this step, then I want you to let this completely dry. So it's just absolutely dry. And I would leave it several hours. So then the next step is to use, I'm using clear oil medium. This is an old bottle. It's a Bob Ross medium. It's actually floral medium, but if you don't have this medium, you can use linseed oil, walnut oil, any kind of a clear oil that you want, and just make a very, very, very thin coat and spread it all over the canvas. Now next, I want to make sort of a bluish lavender color, but I want it more to the blue side. Now when Bob did this painting, he did it in more of a lavender color. And I just have a preference to the blue side, so that's what I'm doing. And so what you want to do is just add Alizarin Crimson and Prussian Blue together to make this color. And then to find out what color it actually is, just add a little bit of white to it off on the side here like I'm doing. And then you can tell exactly what shade it's going to be. But you don't add white when you're putting it on the canvas. So now just with the 1-inch brush, I'm just taking and I'm putting that bluish, lavender bluish color just all over the canvas. So now I'm using two brushes for this, two 1-inch landscape brushes. One is for light colors and the other one is for dark colors, which I found works very, very, very well. So to begin with, we have to create a light, and I want a nice bright light in the background here. So just start by making little crisscross strokes. You'll find that this black gesso canvas is so easy to work on. I just love the way a black gesso canvas works. Anyway, just spread on your white and just smooth it out to any degree that you want and make it as bright as you want. Mine, I think I'm making mine fairly bright, but you do with yours what you want. So next since we have the light on there for the background, the light source, now we have to come in with some dark. And so with the other brush, I'm using my dark color that I did the whole background with. And I added just the tiniest little touch of white, just because I thought it might be too dark against that light background. So then with the 1-inch brush, you just start, load your brush fairly well. And then you just start tapping, just lightly tapping, and kind of give your brush a little curvature here. You don't want it to stick straight, but you want a little bit of curvature. And this is going to be like little tree branches. Now when I'm through with that step, I'm going to switch brushes and go over to my lighter color, my brush with the white color on it. and just load that brush again very well, especially on one side, on the underside, and give it some really good taps. And then just start tapping on the painting, and you want to go actually above each branch if you can do that. Now I'm wiping my brush off because I'm picking up some dark and I don't want that. I want to keep this on the lighter side. And I'll be doing probably a little more highlighting a little bit later, but this is just the first step. Now I want to switch over to my liner brush, and then I'm using, you can use either oil or thinner, whichever you prefer, to do tree branches. But I'm just going into this same color with my liner brush and keeping it on the dark side and just making some tree branches. And just make as few or as many as you want. I just did what I thought looked good. You have to do on your painting what you think looks good. The number of this painting that Bob Ross did, it's book 19, painting number 6. This has been one of my favorite paintings. I tell you that it was in 2005, maybe it was 2006. I did this painting, and I took it, I had quite a few paintings that I had taken to an exhibition show. Somebody stole this particular one, and so I never got it back. I never found out who did it, and it was so sad because I really, really love this painting. So anyway, doing the waterfall, again using the 1-inch brush, and just going into the white, and all I did is make one swoop down. I didn't go over it except for adding just a touch of blue on the top. I didn't want to ruin it. It came out so well the first time. I didn't want to retouch it and do it over again. So now just adding a little bit of mist on the bottom, because the water would be splashing here, and then just lift up a little bit on it just to smooth it out some. That looks great right there. I could just leave it just like that, but I won't. Okay, now with my oil and thinner, if that's what you're using, go ahead and load up the liner brush again, and now we want to make a tree trunk over on this right hand side of the painting. And so I'm making it very wiggly. I don't want a stick straight tree branch. I want it to have some personality. So my 2 browns and a little bit of yellow ochre added in just to lighten it slightly. That makes it show up really nice on that black. And just do a few tree limbs here and there and just make it look interesting. Just put your own personality into it. I'm coming right down to where the land area would be. And if you don't have enough thinner or oil, then you won't get nice slender branches. So you want to make sure you do have enough of that in the mixed with the painting, with the paint. Yeah, that's good right there. I like that. So now I want to start incorporating my green color. And I want this to be just a slightly darker green because it's going to be on the outer edge. And so I have used green and a little touch of black in it. I did also add just a little bit of white. And see how I'm pushing that brush? I pulled down on the paint and then I push back on it. Well, that just gives you a nice little load of paint on the edge, and so then it comes off your brush really nice. And when I'm doing this, I notice that I'm not pushing that brush straight into the canvas. I'm actually just kind of using the corner of the brush I'm able to slant the brush a little bit that way, and it just makes a nice tree, it makes nice foliage. So now I did add, I want to lighten the color just slightly. So I see how I push on it. Now I've added also a little bit of liquid white to this color because I want it to come off a little bit easier. My green is on the stiff side. If your green is on the soft side, then you don't need to worry about it. But some of the Bob Ross paints are really thick. And they thicken with age, I've found. Something I don't like, but it happens. I get really thick with age. So now we're into this little land area below the tree here. It's kind of a bushy looking thing that goes right to the water. And now just highlight it ever so slightly. That light source would be making it lighter there. And just a few little touch-ups here in the tree. Okay, now with my knife, this is a number 5 palette knife, just taking both of my browns, taking a little roll, and I just want to make some dirt area to hold up this land. Can't have the land just floating in the midair. You've got to have something to hold it up. So just put in a little bit of dark down here. And now add just a slight bit of white. And this is to highlight the land, just so it stands out a little bit more. Work with your palette knife. If you're not comfortable with your palette knife, just start working with it a little bit more, because boy, the palette knife, I'll tell you, that's just a wonderful tool for painting. I love my palette knife. So now I want to bring this is a cliff, and it's quite a steep one. And so I just want to take some of this paint and just pull downward. Actually, this is a little too bright, so in a minute I'm going to darken it. And now back to that green color, adding a little yellow. And let's just make some foliage, just some hanging foliage down this cliff. I'm kind of going in between these little rock formations that I made. And just put little greenery wherever you think greenery should be. And now back to that dark brown again. Let's bring this cliff down a little bit further and also darken it just a little bit up higher. Yes, that definitely looks a lot better. And just continue down, and I'm just making dirt wherever I think dirt would be. I just no particular area. I'm just putting little scrapes here and there. And then back to my yellow, highlighting just a slight bit. Very interesting the way that brush works when you use the 1-inch brush this way for foliage. So now going into my white, I'm just going to start with my water. I just want to bring underneath this area here where the land would be. I'm just pulling straight down. Now you've already got the undercoating of that paint, that purplish color, or that bluish color underneath. So when you put this white on, it just a little bit of that comes through, and it just really looks like water when you start brushing across it. See how it just starts to look like kind of glazed over? Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, back into my brown, dark brown. Actually, I've got both browns, and just a touch of white. Let's start building a cliff over on this left-hand side of the water. I've just started up high, and I'm just dragging downward. Keeping it fairly dark back here. And now just adding a little bit of light on top, because I do want to highlight this a little bit. I want it to show up a little bit more. I must tell you guys, I've had a fantastic many years painting with you. Some of you have become such special friends. I adore my followers. You've written lots of letters to me, sent me gifts. I just appreciate every one of you. It's just been a fabulous time together. I will miss you all for sure. But like I said, I'll be around, and I'm going to leave my videos up because I know there's a lot of you that do refer back to them for various reasons. And so I'm not going to take my channel down, at least not right now. Maybe in the future, I don't know, we'll see. So now I'm back to my brown again in the liner brush. And we're going to make some tree branches on this left-hand side in the dark area. And you might need a little more light color to show, so it shows up a little bit more on this side. So it's just my two browns and yellow ochre. And again, just make your tree branches wherever you think they should go. Just to kind of make it as interesting as you can. We'll be covering it up with foliage anyway, with leaves and stuff. Make that nice and thick down there at the bottom. And back to my 1-inch brush and the green, I'm adding a little yellow, little green, a little black. I want this darker in the back side, on the outer edge, a little bit darker on the back side. And notice that I'm leaving a lot of black areas in there to separate these little clumps. If you fill it in too heavy, it doesn't look right. It just doesn't look real. So be sure and leave lots of dark area. And now I've added just a little bit of light white color. I want this just to be highlighted a little bit more on the lighter side, on the side where the light is. And just come down and just kind of making a grassy cliff. My rock is in the background, and I want this to be more grassy looking. So you notice you can just curve your brush, just curve it downward to make it look like it's dropping off. And then when you want to make it look more level, you just change the angle of that brush and just start bringing it out level, more level. Now this was another mistake I see here. I should have made this a darker green to start with, a much darker green. But we're about to come upon my tragic accident. What happened is my camera went dead again. Unfortunately, the sound is so soft I don't hear it when the battery is ready to die. It doesn't give me any indication. And so when it happens, I don't know oftentimes that it has happened because there's nothing to draw my attention to it. So that's what happened, and so you won't see the end of this video. However, I'm going to tell you what I did. Before that, though, what I did is I just started filling in with some rocks. I wanted some rocky areas in the grass. And once I got that in, then I started with water lines. I made water lines in the water. I did more highlighting in the white. Maybe just added a little bit of slight different color in the grasses and the tree branches. But other than that, I thought the painting turned out wonderful, and I'm sorry you didn't get to see the whole thing, but I think you can figure it out just by looking at the photo. You guys are good enough painters, I know. Okay, have a great summer. Bye-bye.